Tell me about this joint, bro. In a few words, it's I just read a book down there saying, "Not African enough."
Yeah.
Yeah, are you African enough?
That's so a good friend of mine in the fashion industry wrote that book, and basically what he's saying in that book is that we were sort of told what African fashion has to be from
Right,
the West.
right,
So the idea is that you can't have an all black outfit that is African.
right,
It needs to have loud prints. So they've been dictating to us
right,
what African fashion should be,
right, right.
and they would say, "Oh, this is not African enough." And so I think that many things um, sort of characterize us as African.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you make clothes for the environment, like in terms of the climate and all those things, for the body shapes, that's African.
Right.
Whether it is a plain T-shirt, you can say you're an African designer,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's something that it's important, and it's a book that has helped shape my ideas of what African fashion could be and should be, and it's basically fashion made for people who are on the continent,
Right.
you know.
So, because of that book right now, do you believe you're the living embodiment of African? Are you African enough by way of expression?
I am. I think that I am, and it's something that is. I think it's evolving, you know. And I think that one thing that fashion designers do in every part of the world is they sort of tell a story of what the situation is at that time,
Right.
or what the situation is going to be, you know, because a lot of fashion and technology is about the future.
Mm.
When you look at fashion trends, there was a time when you had the big logos everywhere.
Right, right, right.
Then when the economy crashed, the global economy crashed and there was a recession,
Mm.
now
Things
it
got a bit
became
tighter.
tacky. It became tacky
Tacky.
to have
Uh-huh.
big logos. So if you look at the transition of logos from let's say like 2005, 6 to 2008, 9,
Uh-huh.
they became smaller or hidden.
Mm.
So, you know, even brands like Burberry, the print went inside
Right.
the jackets, not on the outside. So I think that it's a reflection of the time. So even as Africa changes, grows, I think one of my jobs as a fashion designer is to tell a story of that time. Yeah,
That current time.
exactly.
So how does then, if you talk about stories, how does the where you come from as it relates to your history inform your present, which ultimately guides where you're going as a as a fashion I don't want to say the word icon yet,
Yeah.
but someone that aspires to be one.
Yeah.
How important is history to you?
History is a big part of even why I started, and I wanted to capture. You know, when you look at African history or storytelling, a lot of it has been verbal.
Right.
Um, and so you try to figure out how do I capture this moment in time beyond just the verbal stories, because that's the way we've always told stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do look to the past. I think in Rwandan fashion and design, there's a lot of geometric prints, and so that's something that has informed the way we do our tailoring now. You know, sharp lines, even the prints. We try to focus more on geometric prints. So even if we design new prints, they're sort of informed by our history.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're very strong on like geometry and so on and so forth. These are things that I don't think fashion guys are quite conversant with. I think guys are on vibes, to be honest. But that is quite good to know that you have a backbone. Your backbone is a history really that guides. So how do you correlate that with what you got going on currently with your fashion and what you have going on in your workshop, which is really dope, I must say.
Thank you.
Very impressive. I particularly interested in the jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know what those sort of things. What does that jersey really?
So the design on the jersey
Let me get
is
it.
just
Give me a second.
so the pattern on the jersey is based on imigongo, which is a traditional Rwandan design, and you I think once you've talked about it, you start to notice the design in quite so many different parts of the city, the country as
Right,
well.
right.
So it was traditionally made with dirt, cow dung, ash, and so most of the colors are
The
the migongo.
okay.
Yeah. So it was a form of decoration in homes. and the artisans would get them and combine them. So the basis of the colors were generally black, white, gray, burgundy. So it's you get like earth. So those sort of three colors, 3 4 colors, sort of combine to create art, and it's sort of based on our topography. So when these artisans would look out into the distance, they're seeing so many hills. So that's why it's like sort of like a zigzag pattern.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I came up with this design because I wanted to create a product that sort of celebrated Rwanda and being in Rwanda, and it sort of we launched it roughly 10 years after I came up with the idea for House of Tyre. So it was also a celebration of existing in Rwanda for like 10 years. And so the idea is that we continue to develop even more versions of it, to sort of celebrate. I also love I love football. Yeah, and I love football
What team you
jerseys.
support? I hope it's Arsenal, fam.
And
It's not
it's,
Arsenal.
it's Man United. But I feel that football is such a democratic sport, and there's so much camaraderie. You sometimes you meet people for the first time and you see the jersey and you're like, okay, you know what, drinks on me, or let's hang out. And it's I just love that about football. So I wanted to create, and that's why I felt like it had to be a football
It's a
jersey.
unifying factor.
It is.
Right.
And so that's sort of, I think, even my own history of loving football and collecting football jerseys sort of built up into this final product.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Only that you guys as United fans still have a little work to do, but we'll talk about
Are the biggest clubs in the world right now. Personally, for me, it would be in between Arsenal or. What? What's wrong with Arsenal?
We'll talk about it at the end of the season.
but I love that you have this going on, which is very admirable again.
Thank you.
And do you hope to one day have this, in a stadium when actual footballers have it on? Is it something that is in the pipeline?
I think it's what excites me more is seeing the fans. Yes, I definitely feel that I would be proud if a team walked out in a jersey or a kit that I created. But for me, something special is the fans, because we launched it in 2021 during the BAL championship, and at that time the Rwandan team, there were no jerseys, and so this was the first big event that was happening at our arena, and every time I went, I was seeing the jersey everywhere.
Nice.
And sort of people decided that this is what we're going to wear to cheer on our country. And going to the stands, I went with last season, we went, the whole team, all the tailors, even some of our suppliers, we all went
Nice.
to go watch a game.
Nice.
Through our partnership with the BAL. And it was exciting because we saw, there's sometimes a disconnect when someone just walks into the store purchase.
Right.
But when we were all sitting there and you just look up into the stands and you can see them far across where you can't even picture the face,
Nice.
but you're seeing the jersey. So for myself, for my team, that was a very special
moment.
Exactly.
Nice. So I'm hearing you talk some words like topography, geography, geometry, and this, that, and that. So how do you correlate this with being patriotic? Are you guys patriotic enough? This is a symbol of patriotism. You guys love your country to the core.
Yeah, we do. I think that it's no secret.
And how important is art in this attempt to sort of unify a country? How important is art? I struggle with the concept of people sort of slipping on, forgive my lack of a better word, but slipping on the arts and expression and entertainment. How important is that as it relates to where you want to take the country and where you hope the next generation might want to end up?
I think art is I think for the most part in many societies it's underrated, it's undervalued, but yet it plays such a critical role in some aspects. It's a unifying factor.
Right.
Other aspects, it's a symbol. when you think of whether it's a freedom struggle, whatever, their songs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes, and their images.
Yeah.
There's artwork.
Yeah.
So the arts is what, and you know, later on there are the stories that are told that become books, that become movies.
Right.
And I don't feel like you can have a society that really propels itself forward if you don't have artists at the forefront, whether they're sort of taking the notes down, they're capturing it as they go along, or they are creating the waves of the movement. And so I think that it's very important, and I think that there are two sides. That it requires people in, whether it's government or, you know, other institutions, to sort of see the value and see how you can make artists part of it.
Right.
But it is also, I think that it's also a responsibility for artists to communicate their value,
Right.
To know how to speak of their value, to firstly to also value themselves,
Right.
you know, because you need to start from somewhere. So I think that there are two sides that are very important in order to make art part of I guess, a more integral part of the fabric of society.
How do we have it publicly, like part of the conversation?
Exactly.
As it relates, because I'm a strong believer that, you know, society has made all these other professions the high watermark of human achievement,
Yes.
and we're, you know, undermined
Yeah.
as creatives. And yet, for me, I think we're all supposed to be in equal measure, because we all contribute to the, you know, shaping culture ultimately. So I think that this is really why I love what you do, because I feel like you're very detailed as it relates to what you're trying to put up, and so with the fashion and whatnot. And so I want to just ask you last few questions, just two questions. One, what do you want to be known for, and why? Like, what do you want to be known for ultimately, and why are you doing this, and how do you correlate this with mental health?
Okay.
Those
So
are three questions.
what? Yeah.
For
So
the
okay, no
colleges.
worries. So what do I want to be known for? I think I want to be known as someone who helped develop the industry here, and so I always need to keep reminding myself, even sometimes when I think internally about my own business, how do we propel forward? But like, I have to think back to, you know, do I have talent coming through my doors, even if they don't stay here?
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So I've had an intern who has gone on to start on his own brand, and I have to make sure that, you know, supporting and because when you grow the ecosystem, it's better for everyone.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so sometimes, you know, when things get challenging, you become so you focus really on yourself and your business.
Right.
But I have to keep working at it to
Because
remember
it's a
this.
testament to growth
Exactly.
from an entrepreneur standpoint as
Yeah.
well. If you grow more house of tiles that may have different names, but instead of
Exactly.
people that have gone under you know, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? What should you tell us?
It's evolved, you know. When I started, it was purely to give a different narrative to Rwanda. I felt that the world only knew one aspect of Rwanda, and it really frustrated me that they tried to box us in and keep they're like, this is your story, we don't expect more from you. When I think of my journey as an entrepreneur, there have been very many tough times, and
You struggle. Do you go through bad phases?
no, definitely,
ups and downs, and
definitely.
you want to quit?
It's yes, there are many, especially in the first couple of years, you know, because I've been doing this for over 10 years now, but I would say things only started to really come together in the past 3.
10 years?
Yeah.
3 years, just to say, to make sense.
Yeah.
control
Yeah, it does, because you start thinking about the opportunity cost. What did you miss out on? What could you be doing? You think about now all the people who depend on you, and you can't just drop things.
Right.
I think that, you know, especially in this sort of environment where you're facing customers quite a bit, you know, if you're not feeling good, but you have to put on a brave face.
Flex,
and
yeah.
and also with the nature of this business, if you're if you look like you're struggling, you struggle.
You struggle.
So even when things are not going right, you have to put on a brave face. You have to figure out, how do we look like we're, things are moving smoothly? How do we look like we're...
How do you maintain your mental
Exactly.
activity in this process?
Exactly.
How do you do it? How do you maintain?
For me, it's sort of I had to learn about myself a lot. I had to see how to regulate. So whether it's eating well, it is working out, it is maintaining friendships, so it's things like that.
Meaningful friendships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Having meaningful conversations. So that's sort of the way I've done it.
Discipline.
It's like, I equate a lot of my experiences to sports. So I watch a lot of sports documentaries. Now, you can't wake up and run a marathon.
Yeah.
But if you're training consistently, whatever, if a marathon comes up, you can deal with
I
it.
read the book Atomic Habits.
No, I haven't, but it's on my
Something
list.
that you might want to read, because it's pretty much says that it's very habitual, just small steps.
Exactly.
Guide towards. Yeah, that's powerful.
So dealing with mental health, or trying to maintain sanity, in the way the world is changing, it comes from me doing deliberate things every day, so that when you, because we're going to hit a shock, you're going to have a shock at some point.
Ultimately.
That's part of life, but how you deal with it is like how you've prepared yourself.
Right.
And so I try to make sure that I'm working on these things every single day.
Yes.
When I look at my team, I also have to understand that they go through their own
So
things.
mindful of them as well.
Yes,
their
sir.
well-being.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so we hired more people than we necessarily needed to, because at the end of the day, if you're a customer, you're coming, and you expect your stuff to be ready today, it has to be ready today.
Regardless of.
Yeah, what we're going through,
No one wants to know that.
Yeah,
I want
exactly.
my shirt. I want my shirt.
Exactly.
Because I pay for it.
Yeah.
So
So
mindful of all those tiny little things.
so we have to build a team where guys can cover for each other.
How big is your team?
Now we're about 27.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's a testament of growth then.
Yeah.
I like to believe, no?
Yeah. No, thanks a lot.
Appreciate your time, man.
No,
I
my
like
pleasure.
to just show me just a quick glance around.
Sure.
Shirts on, so you can see what.